Hey movie lovers! Welcome back to the ultimate destination for all things cinema. Today, we're diving into the suspenseful and mind-bending world of The Vanished. The movie unfolds with a tense scene in the night woods where police officers and dogs chase an armed criminal. Despite their efforts, the criminal manages to escape, disappearing into the darkness of the woods. Fast forward to November 19th, 2018, where the Michaelson family, Paul, Wendy, and their 10-year-old daughter, Taylor, are embarking on a camping trip. Their journey includes a cute little dog that Taylor adores. Paul, a Gulf War veteran, answers Taylor's curious questions as they drive. Upon reaching their destination, the park owner, Tom, cautions them about the potential dangers of the area and advises them to leave before their allotted time. However, the Michaelson couple doesn't dwell on the warning. Paul sets up the campsite while Wendy heads to the park owner's store for essentials. Along the way, she notices a person throwing trash in the dustbin, giving her an odd feeling. As Paul continues setting up, he spots a beautiful lady named Miranda. Their gaze locks, and Miranda notices Paul staring. They engage in conversation, revealing that Miranda and her husband are staying next door. Paul extends an invitation for both of them to join for dinner. Meanwhile, Wendy returns with the essentials and helps Paul set up their spot. When they call out for Taylor to join them outside the trailer, there is no response. Panic sets in as they frantically search the trailer and its surroundings, but Taylor is nowhere to be found. In the midst of the search for Taylor, Sheriff Baker arrives at the scene, first seeking an update on the escaped prisoner who might be in the vicinity. The deputy informs him that the gunshot wound may have slowed the prisoner down, and they are actively searching for him. Wendy expresses her concern, wondering if the escaped prisoner could have kidnapped their daughter. Sheriff Baker reassures them that they are looking into that possibility and asks for any information they might have. Handing Paul a walkie-talkie, the sheriff assures them he will update them as soon as there is any news. As night falls, the movie shifts to the escaped prisoner in the dark, surrounded by chilling noises. Meanwhile, Wendy suggests to Paul that they venture into the woods to search for Taylor themselves. Sneaking away from the cops, they stumble upon a campfire where the prisoner is sleeping. Wendy attempts to grab the nearby gun, causing a stir. In the commotion, Wendy accidentally shoots the prisoner in the head, alerting the approaching cops. Paul and Wendy flee the scene. The next morning, Wendy urges Paul to confess to the cops, but he fears losing her if they find out the truth. Their conversation is interrupted by Sheriff Baker knocking on their trailer. Paul discreetly hides the gun before letting the sheriff in, making coffee for him. While Sheriff Baker is momentarily distracted, Paul notices Wendy's cap with blood drops, accidentally spilling coffee on the sheriff and discreetly getting rid of the cap. Wendy joins them as Sheriff Baker reveals they've caught the escaped prisoner, who had been on a bus and had no connection to Taylor's disappearance. However, he informs them about the discovery of a camper's body in the woods, leaving Wendy and Paul shocked as they realize they mistakenly killed an innocent person. Sheriff Baker asks them to come to the station to file an official missing person report for Taylor, given the more than 24 hours since her disappearance. Later on, Paul and Wendy were sitting outside their trailer when Justin, the caretaker of the place, arrived. Justin inquired about Taylor's age, and Paul mentioned she was 10, but Wendy became upset and questioned why he said was instead of is. Justin apologized, clarifying he didn't mean anything by it, and left. Paul and Wendy went to file the official missing person report, providing photographs of Taylor to the authorities. The sheriff made an announcement to the press about Taylor's disappearance, and Paul and Wendy urged the public to help them find their daughter. Meanwhile, Paul left a voice message for his brother Jeffrey, seeking assistance. Standing near the lake, Paul and Wendy noticed Miranda and her husband Eric bringing them dinner. Paul invited them for dinner, but Wendy went inside the trailer in anger. Accusing Paul of flirting with Miranda the previous day, Wendy held him responsible for leaving their daughter alone. Paul reassured his wife that they would find their daughter, unaware that Miranda was secretly observing their interactions. Later that evening, Paul heard his daughter's voice and discovered that Wendy, unable to sleep, was watching old family videos. Wendy, growing restless, harbored suspicions about Eric Hatton's involvement in Taylor's disappearance. She contemplated contacting the sheriff about her concerns, but Paul advised against it. Despite this, Wendy insisted that Eric and Miranda were hiding something. Paul eventually agreed, and the couple decided to secretly search the Hattons' trailer. Meticulously inspecting every corner, they made a startling discovery in the bathroom cabinet. Wendy found an abundance of prenatal vitamins, suggesting the Hattons may be trying to conceive. Wendy became convinced that Miranda intentionally distracted Paul while Eric was involved in Taylor's disappearance because they wanted a child but couldn't conceive. As the couple completed their investigation, the Hattons returned, maintaining the ruse that they were merely seeking updates on Taylor's case. Wendy proposed a joint search effort scheduled for the following day at 7 a.m., and the Hattons agreed to join them. The next morning, the Hattons joined Paul and Wendy for the search, taking a boat on the lake. Wendy claimed to have noticed something in the water, but Eric, checking with binoculars, informed them it was just a trash bag. Eric suggested returning since they had been out for more than 6 hours and needed fuel, food, and water. Miranda urged Eric to check on the object just to be sure. Upon reaching, they found it was indeed a plastic bag. However, the boat wouldn't start due to running out of fuel, leading to Eric's frustration. Wendy accused Eric of intentionally not confirming that the object was a plastic bag because he knew it wasn't Taylor. Paul also accused them, mentioning their long-standing desire for a child. Eric, shocked about the trespassing and fueled with anger, decided to row them back. Wendy pulled out a gun and threatened them to answer her questions. Miranda clarified that they were not newlyweds and had come on the trip to relax. Wendy, unconvinced, became more aggressive, accusing Paul of liking Miranda and taunting her about enjoying attention from other men. Eric, angered, pushed the gun from Wendy's hand, causing the boat to overturn. They all fell into the lake, and inside the water, Paul stabbed Eric multiple times with a knife. Paul then saved Wendy from drowning, and they returned to their trailer. Later that day, Sheriff Baker visited the Michaelsons, urging them to recall any small details that might aid in the investigation. The couple had nothing more to add and hoped the police would do their job diligently. After leaving the trailer, the sheriff knocked on the Hattons' door, receiving no response. Curious, he discovered the trunk had been broken into and found tools inside. Entering the trailer, he fixated on red beads in the cabinet, along with prenatal vitamins and pregnancy tests. However, his colleague interrupted with unsettling news. A body had been discovered. The Michaelsons rushed to the scene, only to find it was Eric. Sheriff Baker shows the red beads to Paul and Wendy, which Wendy identifies as Taylor's favorite. The discovery of these beads in the Hattons' trailer raises serious suspicions, leading the police to believe that this might be a premeditated crime and that Miranda might hold crucial information. Later on, Justin asks Tom if he has anything to do with what's happening, to which Tom instructs him not to ask such questions again. Late at night, the police are on a mission to find Taylor. Back at the trailer, Paul tries to convince Wendy to eat and relax, but she goes outside for some fresh air. Wendy goes to Tom's store, but no one is there. Hearing strange noises from the utility room and noticing a no entry sign, she is surprised when Tom suddenly appears, informing her that the store is closed. Pretending to buy a chocolate bar and rent a couple of movie discs, Wendy sympathizes with their situation, and Tom provides her with the items. Back at her trailer, while playing with her dog, there's a knock on the door, and it's Justin. He apologizes for not being much of a talker and offers his sympathy. Wendy, finding his behavior odd, decides to follow him after he leaves. Sneaking through the window, she sees Justin involved with illicit substances. Meanwhile, Paul goes outside to smoke and lies down on the pier. Suddenly, his attention is drawn to bubbling beneath the pier, and when he turns on his flashlight, he sees Taylor in the water. In a panic, Paul begs his daughter to wake up, only to discover it was all a nightmare. Wendy screams, revealing that their beloved dog has been killed. The next morning, the sheriff interrogates Justin about his illicit substance use, and Justin appears anxious and scared. Sheriff shares the story of his son's addiction, expressing regret for not being able to help him in time. Justin insists he has nothing to do with the situation. After Justin leaves, Sheriff receives a call from the hospital, informing him that Wendy has swallowed a significant number of sleeping pills and is hospitalized. The sheriff assigns renowned grief counselor Dr. Bradley to assist them. Dr. Bradley counsels the couple, offering wise advice on letting go and accepting. Wendy goes to Tom's store to return some movie tapes, but finding no one there, she notices a door labeled "Authorized Personnel Only." Intrigued, she steals the key and enters. To her shock, she discovers it's not just a utility room, but a furnished living area, implying that Tom resides there. In one part of the room, she finds numerous videotapes and a television. Upon watching one of the tapes, she sees Tom with an unidentified young girl, revealing him to be some sort of molester. Suddenly, Tom surprises Wendy from behind, knocks her unconscious, and ties her hands and legs. While Tom hides the tapes in a bag, Wendy wakes up and tries to reach a nearby screwdriver, struggling to free herself. Paul wakes up and finds Wendy not in bed. He goes to Tom's store to inquire, but Tom claims he doesn't know anything as the store is closed. When Tom returns to the secret room, Wendy launches a surprise attack, sparking a fierce struggle between them. In the end, Wendy gains the upper hand by slamming him with a hammer and escapes. Without wasting any time, she reports the incident to the police. Sheriff Baker informs the media that Tom has succumbed to his injuries in his utility room, and authorities discovered a disturbing collection of explicit videos. Wendy faces no charges for her actions, as she acted in self-defense. Sheriff Baker now believes that Tom was not only involved in Taylor's disappearance, but also in the Hattons case. Later, Sheriff Baker informs the Michaelsons about his intention to call off the lake search, as he doesn't believe Taylor was there. The FBI gets involved, leaving Paul and Wendy with no option but to wait. Paul gathers all of Taylor's belongings into a box, signaling his acceptance that she might not return. Wendy is too shocked to react, and Paul explains that he can't bear the pain of looking at their daughter's things any longer. One night, a desperate Justin retrieves substances from the trash, finding Taylor's belongings alongside them. He tries to call the sheriff, but the call doesn't connect. On the 6th day of Taylor's disappearance, Sheriff Baker receives a family photo of the Michaelsons and notices something unusual. The photo was captured when Wendy was 9 months pregnant, with the Twin Towers in the background. Confused, the police reach out to Paul's brother, Jonathan, who reveals the shocking truth. Taylor died 6 years ago in a river accident. Her parents experienced collective hallucinations, believing Taylor was still alive. To add to the mystery, the DNA found on Eric's ring belongs to Paul Michelson. Authorities rush to the campsite, but in Wendy and Paul's spot, they find another RV couple, and the Michelsons' trailer is gone. In the final scene, Paul and Wendy are seen driving away in their trailer, watching a video from their family archive. However, it becomes clear that they haven't reached the acceptance phase yet. They are still pretending that their daughter is with them, reliving memories of Taylor playing on their RV's video screen. The movie ends here.